Welcome to the neighborhood Ford store Steelers Extra Point.
Welcome into the Extra Point Show here on Pittsburgh CW. Bob Pompeani, Chris Hoke with you. All I got to say is you can't figure out the NFL. Who would have thought on this day, Chris Hoke, that we would see the Steelers prevail 20-18 on a day where basically the Steelers had their way defensively with Tom Brady, even though they were without 6 starters on defense. It just didn't add up. But Tom Brady didn't look into it. He looked like distracted, whatever the case may be.
A lot of throws in the dirt. The offense was just sputtering for the Bucs. And coming into this game, people thought the Steelers were going to lose the next 4 games, Bob, be 1-7. And everybody was talking about the number 1 overall pick for the Pittsburgh Steelers next year. But Mike Tomlin and the Steelers said not so fast. And they came out and took this game 20-18 from the Bucs. And they fought and scrapped, and they did whatever they needed to win this game.
So many key parts of this game, and when Kenny Pickett went out with a concussion, Mitch Trubisky came into the game, and quite frankly, he was one of the stars of this game. Mitch Trubisky with not 1, not 2, but 3 long third down conversions, 2 in that final opportunity that really kept the ball away from Tampa Bay, and Chase Claypool, who has been rather not involved with this offense so much, was really another star that emerged, making some tough catches in critical situations. Whenever you have that happening, that's a good thing for this offense, which looked to actually, as the game went on, open up more. And I don't know if Trubisky was just saying, you know what, let me do my thing, I'll do it, I'll wing it, I'll find some ways. But prior to that, Chris, it was rather mundane, same kind of stuff with some out patterns, nothing much over the middle of the field. That changed later in the game.
Did. Well, listen, Mitch worked through that. Remember, early in the season, he was throwing the same passes that we saw from Kenny Pickett last week and this week, everything outside the numbers to the sideline. Trubisky worked through that, and then he got pulled. So he came in the game, and he started throwing the ball down the field. That 3rd and 16 pass to Chase Claypool, it was over the middle, and they converted. So a little bit more rhythm offensively when Trubisky got in the game. It'll be interesting to see what happens when Kenny comes back. But right now, the Steelers will celebrate this big win.
Matt Canada still gets criticized, and rightfully so at some times. But there was a good move by the Steelers. They noticed. They went hurry-up tempo. They got Tampa to take a penalty because they couldn't get their guy off the field, and that led to a big gainer by Connor Heyward. We have plenty coming up, including Mike Tomlin's press conference, plus your calls. We're doing it all for you right after the Steelers win 20-18 surprise fashion over the heavily favored Tampa Bay Bucs. We're back after this.
Welcome back to the neighborhood Ford store Steelers Extra Point.
All right, welcome back. Bob Pompeani, Chris Hoke with you here live on Pittsburgh CW. Steelers win 20-18 to get to 2-4. Keep in mind that Cleveland lost and Baltimore lost, so this whole division is who knows. And Cincinnati, last check, was leading in a close game. But let's take a look at your scoring summary from today's game over at Acrisure Stadium. Again, Kenny Pickett with a touchdown pass right off the bat in the first quarter. First time in 15 games that's happened. 6 yards, Naji Harris was wide open. 7-0, Pickett 5 for 5 on that drive. But after that, not so much. I don't know if it was play calling, whatever. A lot of exchange field goals. As you can see, the Steeler defense rose to the occasion on that goal line to prevent a touchdown on one of those. Boswell had a 55-yarder, boink off the top, or the crossbar and go in. Succop also hit a 54-yarder. And then in the second half, it was Kenny Pickett out with a concussion, and Mitch Trubisky with a first touchdown pass this year to a wide receiver was Chase Claypool, a really good throw, 6-yard pass. After that, some big third down conversions. And the biggest play of the game, perhaps, Chris, was a man who has been much maligned, and we've certainly been part of that criticism, is Devin Bush, who made a play on a 2-point conversion. That would have been a tie game, and then who knows what happens after that.
That's what you expect from a number 10 overall pick, right? To come up big in big moments. And you need guys like that to step up with T.J. Watt out of the lineup. But, Bob, in this game, you looked at the scoring drives right there. You look at this right now. 2 big series for the Steelers defense. It was 7-3 in the second quarter. The Bucs got in goal to go, down at the goal line, and the Steelers held them to a field goal to keep the lead 7-6. Then you have in the third quarter, Bob, it's 13-9. The Bucs again get back in the goal to go within the 10-yard line, and the Steelers hold them again to a field goal. It's 13-12. Those are big hidden points the Steelers hold the Bucs to. It could have been easily 14 points and pulled away in this game. Held them both the field goals. To me, that's the difference of the game.
And you got to give those guys a lot of credit. As I said, 6 starters not in there. You're wondering what they're going to come up with. I'm sure many of you in the audience didn't know who some of these guys were. A guy like Josh Jackson
You can't
comes out of
remember their
nowhere.
names.
Quincy Wilson, Elijah Riley, guys you've never heard of playing and playing very well for the most part. I thought Malik Reed played well. I thought they got some production from guys on the defensive line. Larry Ogunjobi, before he got injured, Chris was outstanding. Cam Heyward getting back to what he was doing. And so they got, and Chris Wormley made a big play on a big third or fourth down, whatever it was. It was
Everybody kind of stepped up and made plays when they needed to, and that's been the problem the last 4 weeks. Guys haven't stepped up and made plays. And if you're going to be a defense that just got to find a way to win, the Steelers did that. I mean, like you said, Wormley, I don't think he's made a play all year. Made a big play. Devin Bush, we know he hasn't made a play all year. He made a big play to knock down that 2-point conversion attempt and hold the Steelers' victory with 2018. I mean, some big plays by guys that you wouldn't suspect.
Yeah, and I think you got to give a lot of credit here to Mike Tomlin. One of the things he's been able to do, you might remember, if they had lost, this would have been a 5-game losing streak. The last time they did that was 2009. They started 7-1. They lost 5 in a row, and then they ended up missing the playoffs as a result. Mike Tomlin is speaking. Let's go there right now, live at Acrisure.
Man, I'm just appreciative of the efforts of the men in that room. Obviously, we were leaking today. We were leaking in a lot of ways in terms of physically, emotionally, and so forth. And I just appreciate, the mettle that the group showed this week in terms of, remaining singularly focused in the midst of the storm, man, and putting together a winning performance. Like I said also, though, at the beginning of the week, where we are is more than one good day, one good plan, one good winning performance in terms of working our way back to respectability. And so we're appreciative of the day, but we still understand exactly where we are. And we ain't running away from it. We're going to continue to run to it and get better and prepare for our next opportunity. We had some bumps, some bruises along the way. Kenny's in the concussion protocol. James Pierre had what I guess could be described as a stinger. Miles Jack had an ankle, but I think he was able to go back. Ogunjobi, same thing. I think he was able to go back. I can't say enough about that secondary group that we had out there today. Man, it was a great opportunity for a lot of those guys. Man, first opportunity in some instances, redemption in some instances, guys getting an opportunity to get back in the fold, guys that hadn't been a part of us, like Josh Jackson being one. Just can't say enough about what they were able to do collectively. It's a challenge when you play Tom Brady. I just thought they did a really good job of letting our disguises work for us. We didn't have a big menu because we can't have a big menu. We got some young guys and inexperienced guys playing, and so whatever we had to dress it up, and I just thought they did a really good job dressing it up and fighting the fight down in and down out. And so hopefully, man, we learn and grow in the right ways through this success and this experience, and because that's what the journey is about. I'll pause and open it up for questions.
Mike, what's that say about Mitch to come in the game in that situation and make the plays that he made?
I don't know that it says anything that I didn't already know as I got to know him throughout this process, man. He's been professional in class at every step of the way. That's why I mention it repeatedly when you guys ask me about what's transpiring at the quarterback position. Not only him, but, man, Mason Rudolph was engaged and has got good ideas. Man, we are a collective, man, and I just appreciate the unselfishness of all of those guys throughout this process, and that's why I repeatedly bring it up.
Well, what does it say about your offense that they responded the way that they did with Mitch in there?
It just says we got it done today. We're not looking to make any more statements than that. We realize that, like I said, it's more than one day, one good plan, one winning performance as we work back to respectability. And so it's what I said.
Coach, you had multiple injuries in the defensive front and the secondary, and I asked you earlier in the week, would you put more pressure on the defensive front because of the injuries in the secondary? How do you think they responded to that responsibility? And
like I answered earlier in the week, we had to pick our spots. In some instances, the pressure was on the back end. In some instances, the pressure was on the front end, and we had to be right. And largely, we played that cat and mouse game, and that's what we had to do.
Mike, you had a lot of big. You had a lot of. Ask your secondary to do or not to do, facing Brady in a situation.
I'm sorry?
Was there anything specific you didn't want the secondary to do or you wanted them to do?
When you're in the state that we're in, we're more concerned about ourselves as opposed to who we're playing. We didn't want to screw ourselves up. We wanted to handle what it is that we could handle and dress it up to the best of our abilities. And so our decision-making process from a schematic standpoint on the back end was geared toward our guys and what they could handle probably more than any other variable.
Mike, the defense made a number of big short yardage stops, I think 8 for like 0 or fewer yards. What were you able to do? How were you able to do that? Again,
we moved some people around a little bit in an effort to create hopefully some confusion. But, just individual effort, man. How many times you see Larry Ogunjobi kind of in the backfield in those moments? And so I'm just appreciative of the strain and the effort of the men.
I know Brian Flores is more of a behind-the-scenes guy, but how much just did his insight into Brady help in a situation like today?
His contributions from all parties involved.
Claypool came through with a few really, really big catches there. What have you seen from him over the last few weeks as he's tried to...
It was a good day today. He made some critical plays today. We're not trying to paint with a broad brush or show some trajectory. He made some plays today, and I'm appreciative of it.
Mike, with all the young guys in the secondary, how big of a role did TE have, and could you speak to his performance?
Man, he had to be a hub of communication. I mean, he was the only regular back there, and I'm just appreciative. And not only that, but he was coming off of a missed action himself. And so I just thought he did a good job keeping the group cool today and communicating in that calm and soothing voice that's needed sometimes when you're in a huddle with some young people.
Mike, you've touched on it a bit, but what's specifically the key for the defense in the red zone and the fact that you bent but didn't break and the key to getting stops there when they got inside the 20?
I just thought we kept them off balance some with some disguises and things of that nature, and rush and coverage kind of worked together. I just thought it was a collective. I don't know if it was one individual component of what it is that we did. The guys played hard. They understood what we were trying to do. They dressed it up. Rush and coverage worked together.
Like, how does getting off to an early start and getting that lead help a defense that's obviously missing a bunch of pieces?
We had to play 60 minutes when you're playing a guy like Tom Brady. The start of the game is going to be irrelevant in terms of the outcome of the game. We understand that.
Coach, your thoughts on Steven Sims and his returns and his, the effect that it had?
Steve gave us what we expected him to give us, man. We're appreciative of his efforts. We're excited for him. We were excited for him a week ago. Glad we were able to get him out and up and running today.
You had Najee Harris. It seemed like he started to get going throughout the game. Is he feeling better? How's he going?
I'll let him speak for him. I hadn't talked to him.
The secondary, obviously, did you see something from them during the week that just showed like that they had like any kind of extra chip on their shoulder or anything like that?
No, man. They just had a lot of work in front of them. They knew who was waiting on us in this stadium, and they knew the state we were in. And so not a lot of discussions need to be had. Talk is cheap. We needed a good work week.
Anyone else?
You had a number of pass breakups from your linebackers. What can you talk about that group in coverage today?
I'm appreciative of that group. We asked a lot of them. We were running thin in the secondary, and so we call on them a lot. We played all three of our inside linebackers in various packages because that's where our depth was. Robert Spillane, I thought, was critical today in terms of us being able to do things because he played positions other than inside linebacker. In some instances, he was representing a nickel. In some instances, he was representing a down safety. And to be able to do that, I'm just appreciative of his intellect and his efforts. It allowed us to put our very best collection of people on the field, and that's what you got to do sometimes when you're in less than ideal circumstances.
All right.
Thanks.
We will be bringing Mitch and
All right, so Mike Tomlin had to be very appreciative. He said that, and I'm sure he was, because he got a collective effort that I didn't think a lot of people thought was coming, including me, given all the injuries they had. It's hard to figure that out, and that's why the NFL is the NFL. But I will say this, the run defense, which has not been good again this year. It was bad last year, one of the worst. Start off bad this year. They limited Leonard Fournette and company to just 2.9 per carry, 76 yards total. That's good effort.
Yeah, I mean, listen, the Bucs offense isn't running the ball very well this season, but that was a big effort. That's 2 weeks in a row, right? Last week they held the Bills to 54 yards, Bob, and then today 26 for 75. I mean, that's back-to-back weeks where the Steelers have been playing better in the run game, and that's big because if you let people gouge you in the run game like they did the first 2 games or 3 games of the losing streak, it's tough to even have a chance to win games. So you got to give a lot of credit to that defensive line and the linebackers for stepping up and playing well.
Yeah, you saw Tom Brady right before halftime go after his offensive line. He was pulling a Bill Cowher. There was saliva coming from his mouth as he was yelling at them. He was not on his game today at all. And there are a lot of different reasons for that potentially. Everyone knows it's well chronicled. He's going through a marital issue right now. Who knows if that plays on this? but he was bounce passing. It looked like he was delivering the ball in areas that nobody was going to be able to catch it. He got better as the game went on, but I credit the Steelers, too, for making it uncomfortable when they could.
Yeah, absolutely. And listen, the Steelers put a lot of pressure on Tom Brady, and he was frustrated with the offensive line, not because they weren't run blocking, but they were allowing defenders to hit Tom Brady, and a lot of times it was quick. Tom couldn't get the ball out. So that also distracted and hurt his throws throughout the game, Bob. But you're right. He was throwing some balls in the dirt, even when he was able to drive the ball. So he just wasn't the kind of game that we're used to watching from Tom Brady.
No, as far as the Steelers quarterbacks, Trubisky, 9 of 12, 144 yards, some huge third down conversions. Yep. He took over after Kenny Pickett left with a concussion, 11 for 67 yards. Not much there in the first half for Kenny Pickett. We have Naji Harris coming up. We have Chase Claypool coming up. We have a lot coming up, so don't go away. Just getting started right here on Pittsburgh CW following a Steelers win to get them one game out of first place in the AFC North. Believe it or not, 2018 your final score.
Welcome back to the Neighborhood Ford Store Steelers Extra Point.
Mitch Trubisky speaking right now. Let's go live.
Better late than never, I guess. We had it when we needed to today, and a lot of the credit goes to the O-line. I think on those 3rd and longs, they were giving me a bunch of time to see the field. A couple I used my legs, and then just some big-time catches by Chase over the middle, Pickens on that other 3rd and long to come back to the sideline. So really just the support and playmaking ability from my teammates, the O-line giving me time, and I was able to just come in there and make the plays that we needed to get out with a win.
Were you more willing to pull the trigger or take chances or take shots?
Yeah, I guess so. It just felt good today. So I was ready to go, and I was just playing within the play and trying to make plays and go out and win the game.
Mitch, along those lines, did you notice a change in your mentality, or did you enter that game with a change in your mentality as opposed to when you were starting at the beginning of the season?
I try to carry the same mentality when I go into the game. Just play each play as its own play and try to do my job. I liked our aggressive mindset in the second half, and especially when I came in. So I just wanted to continue to carry that. I know we need to score in order to stay out in front and win that game. And it was nice to stay on the field and finish the 2-minute and get those victory nails in. So we convert third downs when we needed to, but I just came in with an aggressive mindset. All my teammates had my back. We just kind of rallied together and pulled it out as a team.
And the free play to Heyward, was that initially supposed to go to him, or did you see something different after you realized it was a penalty?
Yeah, I knew we had 12 guys on the field, so it was a free play. So I was really trying to scan the field again. The O-line did a good job. They knew it was a free play as well, but just continuing to block and give me time. And they really weren't set, and he was free down the seam. So he made a great heads-up play, just turning, getting ready for the ball, and making a big play for the team.
When you were here, you were understandably frustrated, upset, disappointed. How long did it take you to kind of wash that off or get past that? Or your teammates said you came in the next day, in a good mindset. But did it take you a while to get to that place? Or?
24 hours. You give yourself the 24-hour rule. Win or lose. If something bad happens in the game, you just got to get back. And what's most important to me is just being part of this team. The fact that I was voted captain, so I knew 24 hours, you got to shake it off. You got to come in, be a leader, and just continue to rally the guys. So we've had a tough couple weeks, and we just got to continue to work and hopefully build off this. But hopefully everybody sees just what Coach told us last night. It's going to take everybody on this team. We got to continue to pull together. We got some guys out right now. We need to get them back. But a lot of guys stepped up today, not just myself, and we pulled together. We played like a team today, and that's why we won.
Escaped and rolled to the left.
All right, Mitch Trubisky talking about coming in relief, and boy, he did a very good job. As I said, the play that he referenced there where there was too many men on the field, he knew it. He got a free play. He made a play down the field, and also on that play, it looked like Devin White was signaling for timeout, and then he was just standing there, and that's where Connor Heyward got behind him.
And everybody was kind of standing around, right? You thought they were trying to get the guy off the field. They thought the timeout was going to get called. Like you said, Bob, when we were watching this game together, Matt Canada, nobody's going to give him credit. You got to give Matt Canada there for going tempo and putting the pressure on the Buccaneers there, and he absolutely did that. Had a big play, big pass to Connor Heyward down the field for 43 yards, Bob, and put him in scoring position, and that's a big point in this game.
It really was. There's no doubt about that. And after that, he completed a touchdown pass to Chase Claypool, who happens to be our number one Cochran, go one better player of the game. And 7 receptions, 96 yards. He had some huge third down and long catches that he made in tough situations. The one where he got his elbow down just barely, it was a tough catch to make. He was well covered. touchdown, 20. Certainly his best game of the season. We're going to go and listen to what Chase Claypool had to say afterwards in the locker room.
It was super cool, much needed. I'm excited to see the other guys get in the end zone because it's coming. I love you, brother. Appreciate you, brother. But yeah, no, it was good. It was cool.
Anybody else?
Chase, what does this do for the morale for you guys?
It's momentum, so we got to build on it. Week by week, we can't get caught up in this window. Tomorrow, we got to move on.
How bad did this offense want to finish this game?
Oh, that's what we're talking about in the huddle. We weren't playing safe. We weren't playing keep away. We were playing to win the game, to score another time.
Should we call third and Claypool?
That has a ring to it. I mean, yeah, sounds good.
Chase, walk us through that scramble. Did you know where you were on the field?
I knew where it was. I wish I stayed in, but I knew where I was on the field. Didn't see the ball, but Mitch put it in the perfect spot, so it's easy to catch. It was a must-win, especially with the offense, moving the ball, and the defense stopping them when we needed to stop them, getting us the ball back, giving us a chance to run the clock out. So it's super awesome to, let the defense lean on us and us not lean on the defense. Take some pressure off them. So, yeah.
Would it be better if you guys pay attention to, the odds and no one's giving you guys a chance?
I mean, for sure, but, we got to earn it. We got to earn the respect, and this is just the beginning, hopefully.
All right, Claypool, as I said, makes big plays. 3rd and 11, a conversion. 3rd and 16, a 17-yarder. Then a 3rd and 13 for, I believe it was 15 yards. And those are all critical at the time. That it did not allow Tampa to get the ball back at the end. So much needed. He had talked very aggressively about what kind of season he was going to have. In the preseason, said, I'm going to be one of the top 3 receivers. We haven't seen that so far. This today was at least kind of a harken back to what his rookie season, what he was doing.
This was long overdue, right? And in the press conference, someone asked Coach Tomlin about Chase Claypool. He was not going to praise him, right? He expects this out of Chase Claypool. And coming into this game, he had 16 catches for 129 yards. He almost doubled his total yardage in one game. He's got to make big catches like this in game after game after game. He's got too much talent, and that's why Coach Tomlin, you could sense a little frustration there from Coach Tomlin and the production of Chase Claypool up to this point. So he needs to continue to do that, Bob.
Yeah, the other thing is they finally used the middle of the field. We've been harping on that all along. You look at the next-gen stats, week after week, you see them going to the outside. Nobody's going to the middle. Finally today in clutch situations, they did. So now we're going to talk to Connor Heyward because he got a big play, maybe the biggest of that drive that set up the Claypool touchdown when it was a free play. He knew it, they knew it, Tampa Bay didn't know it, and they got burned. This is what he had to say.
We knew we were a good team, but it's always hard getting that first one. You got to get that first one, and Coach Tomlin always talks about getting that first one and then, building off that, getting that first win. And then, hopefully we go out there and take care of business next week in Miami, one game at a time. And, that's what we're doing for the rest of the year, just taking one game at a time.
Connor, after losing 4 straight, what does this do for the morale of the team? Win like this against a team like that?
Yeah, they're a great team, but, we're a really good team. We just went out there and played really hard, and I feel like we can do this, week in and week out. You just have to be consistent, and, you saw so many guys making different plays throughout the offense, special teams, defense. It was, a real team win.
You mentioned it being a team win. I was just going to say, so many guys, we heard you guys coming up to say that was a true team win. How much of a team win was that for you guys being able to kind of click in all 3 phases? Yeah, in order to win in this league, you got to play complementary football, offense, defense, and special teams. Danny Smith's a great special team coach, real intense, and everybody knows you can't take plays off there. If anything, you need to provide spark, and you can win and lose games on special teams. And Steve being back there, he can go the distance at any time, and he just hit the seams, and everybody did their job on that kick return. And his nice punt returns as well. We went out there and, made the plays when we needed to. Sorry if you already been asked this too, but just what can you say about what Chase did for you guys, especially late there? Yeah, he made a lot of clutch plays. You see him do that a lot. He made a lot of clutch plays. A lot of 50-50 balls, on a lot of defenders and, making the quarterback right, but also Mitch putting the ball where it needed to be. And, him just being ready. All the receivers played well. Everybody played well.
First, Pat has a question for you.
All right, it's Connor Heyward. One of the reasons why you're hearing from him is because he had an opportunity, because Pat Freiermuth was out with a concussion. He was not going to play. Connor Heyward got more of an opportunity, more reps, got a big play there. He just one of them. I mean, I look at Arthur Millette, I thought played his butt off. He was terrific. Yeah. Terrell Edmonds has been pretty much that way all season long. Josh Jackson, a guy, again, practice squad guy, comes in. He was tight coverage today. So all of these guys get opportunities. We always talk about it, Chris, in sports, you need an opportunity before you can actually do anything with it. Sometimes you don't get those opportunities because you are a fringe player. When you do, you got to make the most. I thought all those guys played really good today.
You only get one opportunity, really, a lot of times in the NFL or any professional sport to step in and play. Josh Jackson last week, he got beat for a touchdown. He got beat on a couple other passes. He comes in this week and really, he stood out to me as playing really, really well. Didn't have any mishaps. 4 tackles in this game. Some great tight coverage. So, and you have other guys too, Bob, that stepped up. Isaiah Loudermilk, he played in today, and because of DeMarvin Leal, who missed this game, he came in there and gave the Steelers some quality snaps. And so there's a lot of guys that stepped up that hadn't played in previous weeks that contributed to this victory.
Malik Reed, another one, who made a nice pass defense at the end of the game. But one of the bigger plays of this one was a 2-point conversion denied by Devin Bush. That turned out to be the game-winning play here. Devin Bush, as I said, has been much maligned. He spoke after the game. Let's check it out.
Crossing route. So they would take his first read, and after that, it was just read and react.
How much of a team win was this for you guys today?
It was huge. Everybody stepped up. I mean, we had a lot of people down in our secondary. We had Kenny coming to his second game. Freiermuth was out. So, I mean, it was a lot of people that had to step up and make plays and stuff like that. So, I mean, Steven Sims made a huge return. So, I mean, Claypool came with it today. So we had a lot of people go out there and make a lot of plays for us to win this game.
With that many guys missing, how much preparation has to go into preparing and to communicate so much against the Tom Brady?
I mean, it was huge because we got guys like Josh Jackson that just got here last week, so he's still learning the playbook, as you could say. So, I mean, it was a lot for us to get a lot of reps together, just to get a feel for each other.
Did you know that was Godwin coming across, or did you just pick up the receiver?
I knew it was Godwin.
And he'd been pretty much getting targeted a lot.
Yeah. So
you kind of figured the ball was going there?
Yeah, it was kind of obvious.
You mentioned Josh Jackson coming in last week. You're going against Tom Brady, who many people consider the GOAT. Like, what gave you confidence that in this game it looked like it should have been a mismatch you guys were going to have what it took?
It's still a football game, you got to still snap the ball, play 4 quarters. So, I mean, anybody got a chance in the NFL.
Devin, after 4 straight losses,
that's Devin Bush after the game. Biggest play, knocked it down. Would have been a tie had he not made that play. And Tampa Bay and Tom Brady denied. I thought the linebackers, we've been talking about all of them. Miles Jack made some really good plays. In fact, he had the hit on Cameron Braid, who was just coming back from a concussion. Looks like he has another concussion, but thankfully he looks to be okay. But Miles Jack played a really good game today, too.
He did. They played well, and I want to see more consistency because they go out there and they make plays, and there's other plays where you see Miles Jack overplay a run play, and that's when they get gashed, and Devin Bush as well. So I want to see more consistent play out of them, but this week was much better than we saw last week against the Bills, and hopefully they can continue to build on this. It really, as Miles Jack learns this defense, as he gets comfortable here at the Pittsburgh and how we do things. But at the end of the day, Bob, this linebacking core is improving each week, and so that's what you got to be encouraged about.
We talked a lot about big plays like the ones we have talked about, Devin Bush included. There are some other little plays that become big when you look back at this game and how the Steelers held on to win. We'll talk about that. More interviews. We're going to hear from Cam Heyward and Naji Harris all coming up. Don't go away. We're bringing this to you live on Pittsburgh CW. It's our Extra Point Show following an unpredictable win by the Steelers at 20-18 today over Tampa Bay.
Welcome back to the neighborhood Ford store Steelers Extra Point.
Welcome back, everyone. Bob Pompeani, Chris Hoke with you. These are the JP Roofing final stats. And you can see the running games, both a good day for the defenses on both sides of that ball. The interesting thing here, Chris, no turnovers by either team. I didn't see that coming in, given how both of these teams have committed some big turnovers in big situations.
They really have. So that stands out to me. Also, the time of possession, Bob, when it's even right there, the Steelers give themselves a chance to win the game. But you've seen the last couple games, it's really been lopsided in terms of time of possession. And when you keep it close, it gives you an opportunity. And that's all you want to see from the Steelers right now with so many injuries and so many things going on with that roster. To have an opportunity to end the game to win, that's what you need to see week in and week out.
Let's go to Naji Harris in the locker room. His comments after the game today.
Yeah, man. So, what I learned in the NFL is every win is important. No matter what it is, no matter who we play. So, for us to come in here and win at home too, and break kind of like that ice of a losing streak. I think that's it's motivation for the team, and it's inspiring. We got to keep this up. I told everybody we got to come in Monday and keep stacking bricks, man. We could enjoy this for 24 hours, but the next day we got to come in there and work and get ready for the next game.
How did it feel that the offense was able to close this out?
Man, that feels good, man. Obviously, because us having slow starts and us not putting the ball in the end zone and us coming up short, and for us to finish out the game on the offensive side too, and having big plays and the playmakers making the plays and the runs and all that stuff, man. I think that it's like I said, it's motivational. It's for us to keep doing that and keep stacking bricks coming Monday, and keep finding ways how we can keep getting better. I think that's where it starts.
All right, that's Naji Harris after the game. He did score the first touchdown of this game, first drive of the game. Kenny Pickett, he was wide open on that play. So he'll go down as the guy who caught the touchdown pass from Kenny Pickett.
Yeah, he really was. That was a blown coverage right there, and just a nice, easy dump off for Kenny out to Najee, and he was able to pretty much walk into the end zone. And that was a great first drive, really aided, Bob, by something you and I look at differently a little bit. That quarterback
roughing the passer call, right?
And that was just, to me, just an awful call. But that's the state of the NFL right now. As a defender, I don't like that. But they were aided by that on a third down.
It was big.
Incomplete pass. But they went down, took advantage of it, and scored. And you're going to have to overcome those kind of calls as a defense, and the Bucs couldn't do it in that drive.
That Devin White came in. He didn't have to do it. See, I agree with you. It's not much of a push, but they're looking for it. Third down, incompletion. Kenny Pickett sailed the ball over the guy's head, and then he gets called, and that allowed that drive to continue. Overall, your thoughts on Kenny Pickett? His stats do not say much in terms of yardage. Again, I think it was more scheme than anything else, if that's what he's being told to do, to go to the outside. But especially after Steven Sims' long 89-yard return, they were knocking on the door there, and I don't think he was at his best.
No, listen, if he's being told to throw it to the outside, Trubisky went to the middle of the field, so he can throw it to the middle of the field. I believe they've got to trust the middle. You saw several times in this game, Tom Brady threw the ball over the middle, and their receivers, his tight ends, the receivers weren't open. And he still threw it and gave them an opportunity to make a play, and they did in those opportunities. So I think there needs to be a little bit of trust there from quarterback to receiver and tight end as well. And you look at Kenny. Kenny struggled in this game. He came out in the first drive, Bob, 5 for 5 in the first drive. Then after that, it seemed like it kind of fell apart and the wheels fell off. Like you mentioned, he came out in that second half. The ball was run all the way down to the Bucs' 12-yard line, and Kenny came out and threw 2 pretty bad passes. He had Pickens in the corner of the end zone, and to me, that's a pretty routine throw. Just throw the ball to the corner pylon. That's a catch and a touchdown, and he overthrew George Pickens.
Yeah, our producer, Craig McConnell's up there, and he made a good point, too. A lot of the times when Pickett plays breaking down, he would just throw it instead of extending. He had room to roll. He could have moved left or right. Just extend the play the way Roethlisberger, and that'll come in time. I mean, this was his first home start, and certainly I thought that first drive was impressive. After that, it got a little bit more difficult. We talk about big plays here, Chris. Here's one that I think goes unnoticed. As you talk about number 8, Kenny Pickett, again, out with a concussion. Now, we don't know what that means, and Mike Tomlin always said was he had the concussion. We'll see on Tuesday at his press conference, which you can watch right here on Pittsburgh CW, what the verdict is and if that means he won't play or what the status is, but Trubisky certainly played well. Devin Bush knocked down the 2-point conversion, so they get the ball back. At that point, there was a bad snap by Mason Cole. Yeah. One of the few times you saw that, it turned a 2nd and 2 into a 3rd and 16. Trubisky goes back to recover it. Luckily, he did. There was a Tampa player right there. And then the very next play is 3rd and 16, and it was a big completion, and Tampa never got the ball back.
Never got the ball back. And when was the last time that we saw the Steelers get the ball with 4, 5, 6 minutes left in the game, Bob, and take the air out of the game? They got the ball with 4:38 and with throws and with runs, and even a Trubisky run for 10 yards, they were able to run the clock out, something we're not used to seeing. And that's what it's going to take from this team. They've got to show some moxie. They got to show some toughness and do exactly what the Patriots did to them just a month ago and take the time off the clock and finish it. You never want to give a guy like Tom Brady an opportunity to come out on the field because more times than not, he's going to make you pay.
Deontae Johnson had some big plays as well today. We're going to hear from him now in the locker room over at Acrisure.
Man, today actually, during warm-ups, they was playing Little Baby, and I was just like, today going to be a good day. And, we came out. You seen first drive, the tempo we had, just, everybody working as one, moving the ball, we converting third downs, making those tough catches down the field, helping out the quarterbacks. And that's what we got to continue to do. I mean, I'm happy we got the W, but there's still a lot of more work to do.
After 4 straight losses and some frustrating performances out there, what does this do for the morale of this team in this locker room? Obviously, it feels a lot different walking in here.
It gives us confidence that we
already had, but it just boosted a little more, just to keep going, and we're just gonna keep our heads down and just keep working. We're not gonna say too much because like I said, it's still a lot of more work to do, and we got the win, and that's all that matters right now.
We've heard this a lot from you guys kind of in the locker room today, but how much of a team win was it?
It was a big team win. You got a lot of guys on the defense that's down and next man up for those guys, and those guys that stepped up, they had a big role. Now I feel like they played their ass off, and it showed. They made those key plays on those third downs that we needed, and they're just gonna continue to get better. And I feel like just as a whole team, the win, everybody played as one, and that's all you got to keep doing.
It's the good thing.
Coming into this game, it was George Pickens. Everybody was talking about him. He was the guy emerging maybe as the go-to guy. This was a much-needed game for the other wide receivers, really, to come up with plays in critical situations, and I thought led by Chase Claypool. And again, I think you were right, Chris. Mike Tomlin wasn't going to just lavish him with praise. He hasn't really done all that much based on what I think they expect from him, but it's a start potentially of something here. Next week they're going to go to Miami, a team that can't score points right now with all the offensive talent they had. I know Tua Tagovailoa will be back. He didn't play today. They struggled all day again. And some of those receivers are getting a little frustrated down there because they're not seeing the ball.
And they've struggled since he's been out. And you look at these receivers have too much talent to not have a touchdown catch until today. They've had opportunities to go up and make big plays. Some of these interceptions that have been thrown by our quarterbacks, Trubisky and Pickett have gone through the hands of Chase Claypool, gone through the hands of Deontae Johnson, and they have not produced in this game. Thus the reason why Coach Tomlin would not praise Chase Claypool today. They need to stand up and be more consistent and earn the respect that people have been giving them throughout the last 2 years. Can Coach Tomlin continue to be frustrated with them as he showed today?
Well, I know one of the things we're going to talk about, and remember, we're going to take your calls coming up, is who starts next week if Kenny Pickett is cleared? That'll be an interesting question. We'll talk about that because everyone loves to opine about quarterbacks. But I'll tell you something, Mitch Trubisky played, I thought, the best quarterback play of any quarterback this year, and that's mostly him. He hasn't done, this was his best shining moment so far. We'll talk about that and more as we continue right here live. It's Pittsburgh CW. This is the Extra Point Show. We'll be right back.
Welcome back to the neighborhood Ford store Steelers Extra Point.
The NFL wants parity. That's exactly what they have. You look around the NFL, only one undefeated team at this point. Who knows how long that's going to last. But the Ravens, they lost today. The Giants are 5-1. They beat them today in a close game. And then the Bengals came from behind. They trailed New Orleans, but they end up winning that game 30-26. The Browns get clobbered by Bailey Zappi. It's a Zappi hour in New England again. He goes 24 for 34, 309, 2 touchdowns, and all of a sudden the Steelers are knocking on the door of this division, which is crazy. Given everything that's happened, it's crazy. The whole thing's crazy.
Bob, 4 straight losses, and they're 1 game out of first place. Are you kidding me? And think about this. If the Steelers can go in down to Miami next week and win that game, they could potentially be tied for first place in this division. Don't be worried and don't be thinking this. But if the Steelers come up to 500 going into that bye week, they get T.J. Watt back, they get a healthy Minkah Fitzpatrick back. This offense cuts a little bit better. Who knows what can happen down the stretch, Bob?
That's why it's a long NFL season. There are so many ups and downs. We see it almost every year. Cam Heyward now had a very productive day on the defensive line. Let's go inside the locker room with Cam.
Has been easy. But that doesn't absolve us of our record. This is something we have to keep working towards. It's great to get a win today, but it's a learning moment for a lot of guys. As many good plays as we made, there was bad plays out there. So you take the good with the bad, you just try to keep going from this, keep stacking wins.
Brady, your ability to get pressure on Brady, and can you talk about his comfort level as you perceived it?
Brady's a heck of a player. You got to rush forward. You blitz too much, he's going to dice you up. There's not a coverage he hasn't seen. I think the best pressure is always up the middle, and I thought we applied that today. We have to be cognizant of the rush and, work together as a unit. You're not going to get multiple times to hit Tom Brady to get pressure up the middle. So when you do, you got to make sure you hit home. it's a four-quarter battle. It's not like you're just gonna keep stopping them. But I thought we did a great job of winning early on third down. Making them settle for field goals, and I think that was the game changer in the game for us.
Cam, as far as how the defensive backs interacted with all the new pieces that were out there, the changing parts, I mean, the way they described it was like this wasn't like the COVID game where Baker came in and was introducing himself to offensive linemen like they haven't met before. Like, can you talk about how that coalesced those so quickly under game circumstances?
And kudos to our back end and our linebackers. It is a tough position to be a DB in this league, and it's even tougher when you're going from one day being activated to the next day. You're starting right away. I think our defensive back coaches, our linebackers, getting them all lined up, and them just mixing it up, understanding that if we could win first and second down, that we could disguise some things. And I thought they did a really good job tackling. A lot of stuff went to the edge. And they're not playing slouches. You're playing Mike Evans. You're playing Chris Godwin. These guys are top-notch Pro Bowl players. So you got to make sure you keep mixing it up. And I thought they did a great job today.
Alex Highsmith said something to the effect of, you guys either before the game or during the game had fun again. If it's got the swag back, got your identity back where you are. Is that a fair way to put it? Was there a mindset like that where we're back to being our defense where we know we are?
We got some work to do. I thought we applied pressure, stopped the run to a degree, but man, we ain't back yet. We got some work to do.
Cam, you guys had a number of big short yardage.
Yeah, it's Cam Heyward, and he's right. He's a leader on that team, still got work to do. He realizes what it is, and it's very difficult, as he said, Chris, to be in a situation where you start activating guys who were just on their practice squad, and not only do they play, they're starters, and that's exactly what we have, which makes it interesting now what happens next week and the week after as we take a look at the neighborhood Ford store road ahead. So there's a bye week, and it comes at a good time after two road games. How do you see those two working out, followed by New Orleans and then Cincinnati?
Well, like you said, it's hard to predict these games right now. So much parity in the NFL. But I can see the Steelers going down and winning that game down in Miami and then having a tough one at Philly. That's just tough. Philly's playing really, really good right now. And then you're heading into the bye week right now. So you'll be 3-5 at that time. And then you get in New Orleans, Cincinnati. These are games I think are really winnable for the Steelers. So there's some optimism now, and especially with the way the division looks, Bob.
Yes, and it's going to be very interesting to see who plays quarterback next week. And obviously, we hope Kenny Pickett's okay. He got, knocked backwards, taken out, evaluated for a concussion, and obviously the NFL is taking this very seriously right now. And the hit came right here, and it came on a play where Kevin Dotson made another penalty. He had 3 of them in the game. So somehow Deontae Johnson, the ball was deflected. He came back and made the catch, but Pickett lay on the ground. He had to be taken off the field, as you can see. And you don't know about his, availability next week. Although, again, optics are very big right now in the NFL. Could very well be that he doesn't play. If he's available to play, who do you choose to start your game next week?
I think they have to go back to Kenny Pickett just because he's a quarterback as a rookie, and you can't mess around with his head. So I think if he's available to play, they put him in the game. But let's talk about Kevin Dotson. He really struggled in this game. He struggled throughout the first part of the season. But today, 3 big penalties at stalled drive. And then here, he held Devin White on a blitz, and he gave a big hit to Kenny Pickett. He's got to be able to come off that D lineman and be able to pick up the linebacker. Your eyes got to be and head on a swivel, and it was not there. He looked like he was just one step too slow today, Bob.
He really was. And again, the play that Pickett got hit on, it was his holding call, but if you're going to hold. Yeah. Don't let him get to your quarterback the way he did.
Absolutely right.
So, bottom line is, Kenny Pickett, concussion, we'll get an update on Tuesday, as well as all of those injuries that happened today from Mike Tomlin. Again, you'll see that Mike Tomlin press conference live right here on Pittsburgh CW. A guy I've been saying is having a really solid year, and I think he's underrated. I know he's a victim of being a number 1 pick. If he was a 3rd-round pick, you'd be congratulating him on all his success, but that would be Terrell Edmonds, who played another good game today. Let's hear from him.
Whoever's out there have to go out there and perform, and everybody took it head on, and we just played together out there today, and we got the win.
What did you see from those guys in practice this week that gave you some confidence that they were going to be up to this challenge?
I wouldn't just say this week. It's just seeing them all season, how hard they work on the practice squad, how hard they work when they get the reps with the ones or twos, and then this week when they had the opportunity, how focused and how locked in they were to do that, man. And it showed in this game today, and we went out there and got a win.
Terrell, you guys were having fun getting pressure on the quarterback. What do you guys able to do to get after Tom Brady?
Man, we just,
All the injuries you
man, we just played together and just tried to play smart, tried to play fast, and what else could we lose? We were already 1-4. Now we're trying to just keep on building and turn our season around, and that was our main focus. That was our main focus throughout the week, to just keep on grinding, play good football, and today we played some good football, and hopefully we can build off of it.
So after 4 straight losses, what does a win like this against an opponent like that and a quarterback do for the morale of this team?
Man, you got to accept the challenge. It just brings out the competitor and everyone in the locker room, from the coaches to the players on the field, whoever out there. You just got to, you want to see that from them. You want to see them not back down and just keep on going.
As Terrell Edmonds, he had a big tackle for loss on a goal line situation. I thought the Steelers won the game really defensively when Tampa Bay was about to score a touchdown, and they limited them to field goals. Chris, that's huge in these kinds of games. And as far as the first one, it was a 2nd and goal from the 1 after they get all the Fournette gets down to the goal line. Yeah. Normally, Tom Brady would just tempo it, take a quick snap, and sneak down low and score. He seemed very hesitant to do that, and when he did do it, he just went straight into the center and seemed to be on a treadmill. Wouldn't go
listen,
anywhere.
he's 45 years old, so he doesn't have really the legs anymore that he used to have. And on that one quarterback you saw, he's not getting much push. When he did that with Tampa Bay earlier this last couple of years, and also with New England, he had some surge in the middle with his center and guards. He's just not getting that, so I think he's a little more nervous to call that goose and take it over the middle. But those were 2 big stops. We can't give enough credit to those 2 big goal line stops there when it was 7-3 early in the first quarter, and then in the third quarter when the Bucs drove all the way down again, down to the goal line, and the Steelers held up again and held them to a field goal. That is a difference of 8 points in this game, and that's the difference in the game when it was a two-point game.
Yep, that last drive you're talking about was 13-9 at the time. They were about to score. It was the longest drive of the year for Tampa, 13 plays, 69 yards, 6:31 off the clock, and they had to settle for a 24-yard field goal for Ryan Suckup. Those 2 goal line stands had a lot to do with how this game played today. All right, now we want to hear from you. You heard us talk. You heard from the players and head coach Mike Tomlin. Now we want to hear from you. We're going to present a special edition of the Sports Call, 412-575-2600. We do the show every night on Pittsburgh CW. You can call tonight also. I'll be riding solo tonight. I'd love to hear from you then, but I also want to hear from you now. So does Chris. So call us. We'll do that when we come back. Steelers win 20-18 to get to 2-4, and now just 1 game out of first in the topsy-turvy world. That is the NFL, specifically AFC North. We'll be back with that after this.